Hello everyone, welcome to today's webcast, Leveraging Third-Party E-Commerce Data. My name is Alaistair Jones and I'm a Business Intelligence and Analytics Consultant at Thorogood Associates. I'm joined today by my colleague Deb Lee. Deb and I have been working with Thorogood for a number of years, helping customers implement enterprise business intelligence and analytics solutions. We're joining today's webcast from our Philadelphia office. You can also feel free to get in touch with us directly via the contact details you see on the screen if you'd like to have a longer discussion about today's topic. Our agenda today will start with an introduction to Thorogood. We'll then cover some points on why we're talking about e-commerce, including what's happening in the space today and how it affects your business intelligence and analytics solutions. We'll wrap up by sharing some stories from our customers. For those of you who don't know Thorogood, we're an independent global professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics strategies, solutions, and services with a keen focus on our customers. We've just celebrated our 30th anniversary in business. We're a global company with offices in New York, Philadelphia, London, Bangalore, Singapore, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. All of our consultants are recruited and trained in the same way to develop a unique mix of skills, blending business understanding in the form of industry and functional experience with strong technical aptitude and a deep understanding of analytical tools and techniques. We offer a full range of BI and analytics services, including strategy and roadmaps, requirements, design and implementation, and training and support. Our clients typically span 4 data-rich verticals: consumer goods, pharmaceutical and health services, banking, and insurance. Our clients are some of the leading organizations in these sectors, and we take a lot of pride in the long-standing relationships we've fostered with some of the names you see here. Thorogood has experience working with a number of large players in the consumer goods space. We have experience across a range of departmental areas, as outlined here, and our vast and varied experience helps us provide our consumer good customers both breadth and depth in the key topic areas that are pertinent to the industry at any point in time. Today's session will have a particular relevance to consumer goods organizations as well as retailers, given the importance and abundance of e-commerce data within the sector. In terms of technologies that we work with, we're an independent consulting firm, meaning that we don't work with one specific technology. We do, however, work and partner with many of the key players in the market in order to provide our clients with the best solution to meet their needs. So now that we've shared a bit about Thorogood, let's take a look at why we're talking about e-commerce today. So why are we talking about e-commerce? It will not be a surprise to anyone that the way we buy things today is changing. Previously, a consumer would enter a store, find a product they knew, or if they didn't know it, they'd read the packaging to get more information and make a decision to buy or not buy. Today, that process is much more complex. The consumer may read reviews online, check out a blog post, or engage in a discussion of products via social media. An experience that was once a single channel, a buyer walking into a store, moved to multi-channel. Maybe they could buy online in a store, but the experiences were relatively siloed, to something today that's much more omni-channel, which for the customer means an experience that feels seamless across all of those channels. And for retailers or manufacturers, this means an opportunity to understand the customer and the part that a customer takes when making a purchase more holistically. And in many ways, e-commerce and digitalization has made much of this possible and has started to necessitate that manufacturers and retailers adapt to this new climate. Another reason we're talking about e-commerce today is that while e-commerce may not be the largest proportion of some large CPG companies' business, we're continuing to see a rapid growth in the space. So this excerpt from Nielsen's Total Consumer Report published in late 2017 shows that e-commerce sales continue to drive growth in the FMCG sector, accounting for 90% of the growth from 2016 to 2017. I've highlighted both the dollar share and percentage growth here to show that e-commerce is still a small portion of the total share, so there's plenty more room for growth. Building off of this, we also have a few other online growth stories taken from that same Nielsen report. And it shows that outside of grocery, a number of other categories are seeing powerful growth both in terms of share and dollars versus the prior year. The continued rapid growth in this space is causing many organizations to hone in on this area and consider how they can compete. Taking a hot off the press acquisition, for example, just this week Walmart completed its acquisition of Flipkart, an India-based e-commerce company, for $16 billion. Will this prime Walmart to compete with Amazon? One would think. So, and what does it mean for the e-commerce world? Well, apart from potentially great discounts for consumers, it means serious changes to the market as well as the data analysis you need to properly complete. And so in this climate, the answers to questions pertaining to e-commerce become ever more valuable. Things like how fast are sales growing through e-commerce channels, how does that impact my brick-and-mortar sales, become pertinent to understanding how to play in this space. But getting answers to these questions is not always simple, for a number of reasons. One is variety. Data comes from multiple retailers in various shapes. Another is third-party platforms. Because data is often pulled from third-party platforms, collecting and aligning not just with other e-commerce data, but with all channels for a joined-up view can be a challenge. Another is volume. And so it is also often in very large volumes. Think about all the data that's generated as a consumer browses for a product online before choosing the right item and checking out. Also more brands. In a world where your competitors don't have traditional barriers to entry, there are more competitors. How do you stay alert to them? Need for analytics. All of this makes the need for cohesive data and analytics even greater. This may require predictive analytics, even to handle the volumes, a way to comprehend all of the information and make sense of it, turn it into tangible business decisions. There's an opportunity. For many, this is where the opportunity and competitive advantage resides at present. So this leads us to our next section. Because many companies are still fine-tuning their e-commerce strategies, and because retailers and platforms are evolving, so is the information related to the consumer. So now that we've discussed a bit around why e-commerce is relevant and why BI is valuable when considering e-commerce, I'll hand it over to my colleague Deb to take a look at the variety of platforms available in the e-commerce space, as well as some of the data that you could get from these platforms.
Thanks, Alaistair. When we consider e-commerce in the BI market, it's important to recognize the various types of platforms at a company's disposal. Each of these types of platforms require consideration in an e-commerce strategy, and in terms of your BI strategy, each will present different opportunities to collect data and drive insight. For now, we're going to discuss the platform synonymous with e-commerce, Amazon. Amazon is the leading online retailer. Fortune cites that Amazon could account for nearly half of all U.S. e-commerce sales by 2021. Mastering Amazon's market should be a key success criteria for any company committed to e-commerce, but Amazon is also one of many online retail platforms. Further, with Amazon or any of these online places, there are a variety of considerations on managing the familiar marketing foundations of placement, price, and promotion, and is importantly not one size fits all. Let's take placement, for example. In the e-commerce space, a product's placement will not only be its positioning on a retailer website, but also its relevance for key search terms or brand keywords. Various retailers may provide different buyability scores based on various metrics. These scores will dictate how a product will appear to the consumer on the digital shelf. Companies like Clavis and Profitero offer platforms for managing content on an online retailer's website and metrics for analyzing these key considerations. Interestingly, Clavis and Profitero have both recently partnered with some of the leading point-of-sale data providers in IRI and Nielsen, respectively, further solidifying their relevance in the CPG and digital commerce space. Next, if we consider price and promotion in platforms like PriceFighter or Bazaar Voice, we see a variety of platforms offering ways to monitor and enforce price guidelines across retailers and drive consumer reviews and ratings. Given the variety of online retailers and the publicity of consumer sentiment, managing these drivers are ever more critical. Platforms like Rakuten, formerly known as Slice, will allow you to assess your own sales trends as well as assess competitor trends. Considering these platforms and metrics, we can begin to draw out some commonalities across these offerings, which will help us shape some key considerations when considering e-commerce in your organization. The first of these considerations is the number of evolving and new metrics. As we noted, with the advent of e-commerce, we have a number of new factors to consider that will impact your sales and marketing strategy. Metrics like consumer sentiment, conversion rates, cart abandonment rate, and retention rate all require a new way of thinking. Further, as technology advances, metrics will continue to evolve, so having a strategy that accounts for this change will ensure you can adapt as new approaches become relevant. Next, we must consider the variety and volume of data. With the ability to track logins, profiles, user sessions, converted or abandoned carts, really numerous ways in which a potential consumer interacts with your product platform on the internet, the potential volume of data is massive. Further, the variety is vast. Considering how structured data, like sales and orders, coexists with potential unstructured data, like customer service calls or product sentiment, is a key consideration in this space. Lastly, Software and data as a service. I mentioned a number of platforms that offer both data and analytics around e-commerce. These typically cloud-based providers are causing companies to consider where they store this data. In addition to my previous point, they're also considering potentially massive volumes of data. There are a number of questions that might come up that would make you consider using a cloud strategy. Does it make sense to store this information at lower cost in the cloud? Do you need to integrate this data with an on-prem data source? How will you scale out your data storage as you introduce new data sources? All of these are important questions warranting close consideration of what the cloud provides. With a high-level view of e-commerce, the data, and some of the relevant tools, let's now jump into 2 e-commerce customer stories to draw on some of the commonalities across these initiatives. The first customer story we're going to discuss is an initiative that was driven by a global consumer packaged goods company's market and consumer insights team. Prior to this initiative, this team was working solely with Nielsen's Nitro tool, providing insights only for brick-and-mortar stores and data. Looking to increase the value of the insights by expanding the reach and the data inputs, the team established a goal to increase speed to insights, replace Nielsen Nitro, and integrate relevant e-commerce data that they had recently purchased. More specifically, they sought to answer the questions: how are my sales channels growing, both online and in stores? How does the e-commerce channel impact brick and mortar? What's the interplay between them? And most importantly, they wanted to get a view on how the competition was performing across these channels for both their in-store and online brands. As you can see, this company recognized that without considering e-commerce data, they were only seeing part of the story. So how did they achieve their goals? In this case, they looked to leverage APIs from Nielsen and external e-commerce data files from Rakuten to create a SQL database housing all of the in-store and online data. On top, they built a series of interactive Tableau and Power BI dashboards. For the first time, users were able to see their standard brick-and-mortar channel data next to the online sales data for both their own brands and the top competitor brands in the e-com and brick-and-mortar space. These reports serve a much wider audience than the original tool did and provided more people with actionable insights across various business units. Looking ahead, this team is considering how they move their platform to the cloud as part of their company's cloud strategy. This is, of course, a good candidate, given its focus on external data, the different types of on-prem and file share storage data types, would increase their time to insights, and would give them greater flexibility to incorporate future third-party data sources as they become necessary to integrate. For our second story, we're going to review a team looking to bring together internal sales and product data with external e-commerce data. In this case, the customer was looking to create a full picture, or 360-degree reporting suite, for the e-commerce sales and marketing teams. With a specific focus on e-commerce, they sought to answer the questions: what is the profile of e-commerce purchasers? What's the average purchase quantity and frequency? And finally, how can we influence the purchase quantity and frequency? For this initiative, the team looked to use ClickView to both bring together and report on their internal and external data. In ClickView, they created a set of dashboards, as well as ad hoc reports, to allow for users to pick and choose the metrics most relevant to them at a given time. And this was important, given the rapid pace of growth in this space. In fact, at the time of this initiative, sales through e-commerce channels accounted for only 4% of value, but they were growing at a rate of 50% per annum. Looking ahead, this team is planning to integrate more data sources to further enhance their 360-degree view. This includes both internal and external sources, forcing them to think about how they can continuously integrate new sources as they become relevant. So, now let's consider some of the key takeaways and commonalities from these stories. The first of these considerations is the interplay between internal and external data. As we saw in our second example, analyzing the external market data on its own was not good enough. This organization critically focused on how their external data could integrate with their internal data. In this way, they are setting themselves up to get a 360-degree view of their product's performance in the e-commerce space. The first example, we saw a need to bring together various external data sources to achieve a complete market view. Next, there is the idea of continuous change. With both of our stories, those who shaped these initiatives understood that not only is e-commerce a growing industry, but their company's analysis around e-commerce is continuing to grow and change. This recognition of change and evolution of their company's approach to e-com ensured that these initiatives will continue to adapt as the market matures. Looking ahead to the cloud or integrating new data sources shows that for these teams, the job in this space is only just beginning. Lastly, we have flexible insights, building on the previous point of continuous change. This is not only true of the platforms available, but also true of the desired insights at a given time. In both of our discussed stories, the customer put specific focus on flexible reporting platforms like Tableau, Power BI, and Click, allowing for both high-level dashboards and more detailed analysis when required. Recognizing that an analyst's needs may change is just as critical as recognizing that ways to reach and attract consumers will continue to evolve. Said simply, the world of static reports and static insights is far behind us. Now that we've explored both e-commerce platforms in general, as well as some specific e-com stories, let's see if we can wrap up by establishing some concluding considerations when planning your e-commerce strategy. First, across the market and some of the customer stories we've shared is adaptability. We discussed a variety of ways in which customers, as well as the e-commerce market, have adapted to change, whether it be new data providers, new e-com platforms, reacting to investors, market trends, key metrics, or competition trends. Taking a flexible approach to your BI development initiatives will ensure you can quickly attack new areas of opportunity and get the most from your data. Next, we have data integration. Given the variety of e-com platforms as well as types and data, being able to effectively integrate a variety of sources will ensure you are creating complete views of your products and consumers. Combining various data sets will mutually enhance each of their individual value, which would creating rich data sets. Working with partners like Thoroughgood to integrate various data sets can help ensure your data is accurate and efficiently designed for reporting and insights. Next, the cloud. When we consider the variety of data sources and platforms available in the e-commerce space, we saw several examples of software and data as a service. In addition, the next steps in our first customer story recognize the synergy of a cloud-based platform leveraging external data. Evaluating how your cloud strategy enables you to make the most of your e-com data will ensure you aren't leaving anything on the table. In addition, cloud solutions can provide low-cost approaches to storing the inevitably large sets of data that come with e-commerce. Finally, efficiency. While we've established the importance of adaptability, we also can't forego the importance of efficiency. Specifically, creating highly performant systems through efficient process will ensure that the mass volumes of data you are rapidly receiving from your internal and external data sources can be quickly actioned upon by your business users. In other words, once you've worked out the metrics, data, and questions you are looking to explore at a given time, being able to get to those answers rapidly is key. And lastly, I've mentioned several different topics, most of which are available in much more detail on our website as on-demand webcast recordings, blogs, or white papers. Specifically, I have three that I thought I would like to call out here. The latest Microsoft offerings. So we've been discussing some key Microsoft BI tools throughout this webcast, and we have a much more thorough analysis of what's out there right now. Cloud strategy, we've discussed a lot of different aspects of migrating to the cloud or sort of ramping up your cloud strategy throughout this webcast, so you can check that out. And then finally, user empowerment. So really empowering your users through strategy and enrollment, foundational learning, and continued learning, and what are the best practices around that. So that concludes our content for the day. Hopefully this webcast provided you with some helpful perspectives on BI in the e-com space. If you found the webcast today helpful, we have on-demand content available on our website as well as several upcoming webcasts. On the screen, I've included where you can find this content on our website. Thank you for joining us today.